Spirit of light, spirit of consciousness, spirit of love, as brothers and sisters, we stand naked before the highest throne of creation, transparent in our willingness to receive and transmit truth for the greater willingness of ourselves and our humanity. May all of the blessings present within our hearts be ignited, be activated, and be synthesized into all of the necessary healing, transformation, and expansion of our bodies, of our emotions, and of our minds to make space to contain the blueprint necessary to express our divine plan. Homatakias.
Welcome to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and this program has been about the expansion of consciousness, who we are becoming as living, activated, divine beings. And in all my travels, and I've traveled a bit, and all the people I've met, a few have really stood out as the embodiment of this greater level of knowledge that we are ascending into. And that is why I'm very happy today to introduce my good friend, Will. Will, I am is what you call yourself. Thanks for being here. What I love about your work is that it's palpable. The embodiment of the energetic grids, if people know what that is, it's something we can all feel, and people in the studio audience are being activated in this grid, and hopefully people watching will actually have this moment where something aligns for them.
Indeed.
So just give a little background for you, like, what was your awakening? How'd that happen? How did you...
Well, my awakening began roughly at the age of 4, when I was blessed with the gift of something from a higher level of the universe that allowed me to come into consciousness at a very young age.
And something's happening on planet Earth to these etheric, what you call grid lines, the lines of consciousness is a way of putting it.
Indeed.
So talk about that and what your mission is.
Indeed. Well, what is happening on the Earth is happening not just in the Earth, but it's in our relationship to the entire quantum matrix through which life expresses its nature. So really, it's our position in the entire creation matrix, which is shifting as we move into higher bandwidths of perception and consciousness, which will allow us in the future to very rapidly solve many of the issues, many of the dichotomies, many of the dysfunctions that are both in the demographic, globally, and in individual communities.
Let's just do a little activation right now so people watching and here can
Sure.
jump into that energetic realm. So
Sure.
lead us in. And,
Eyes open or eyes closed?
well, we're on television. We could,
Eyes
whatever.
open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever.
Well, we're going to keep it simple because I never share all my gifts on the first date.
Thank you.
As we breathe, we receive, allowing the truth to synthesize a new position for us within the creation matrix of our life. For no longer must we disappoint ourselves from the right usefulness of the appointed position of our hearts. And as we move into the divine intelligence necessary to decode the complexities of ourselves and each other, then destiny shines upon us, and the law of grace in ease flows through us, and we are able to ebb and flow effortlessly through the changes which would otherwise destroy us in the recreation of that which no longer serves the highest good for all concerned. So as brothers and sisters, we remember that it is one breath we share, because it is one divine mind that we seek to emulate through the accomplishments of our communities, of our businesses, and of our ability to express the highest intelligence of our knowing. And this intelligence, it extends itself through the passion of our hearts, when we are able to unlock our minds and allow truth to flow effortlessly, and to dissolve all of the secrets which have subjugated our family of life, and to allow the truth to be paramount.
Thank you. So let's just talk a little bit,
Please.
practically.
Indeed.
What's happening? What's going on here? What do you see from that perspective to the population, humanity, and
well, now we can look at many levels of the shifts that are happening now. On a micro level, we're talking about shifting energy circuits and being able to release the electrical impedance and blockages within the physical body that are having difficulty receiving the energies that are passing through the planet and through the sun. So the first step that we would look at would be beginning to troubleshoot the parasitical amperage draw that is leaking the energy, that is draining the abundance. This is all of the distortion of industry, the distortion within our human relation that plays itself out through the complexities of everything we create.
Right, so we have like our lineages that have impeded that. We have the program from the media, from our iPhones, our computer. All that is stopping the abundance flows from happening. So how do we deal with our past, the histories that we've inherited?
Well, again, we need a template. We need a blueprint. But this is not just someone's personal idea. The blueprint we need is actually within the creation matrix itself. So it's our ability to more accurately emulate life and to be able to change all of the industries by providing all of the consciousness protocols necessary to create a new relationship.
Well, give me something practical now. Okay,
Sure.
because that's what makes it
Sure.
real.
Well, the idea here is everyone has often based, well, for the most part, people base their practice off of belief systems.
Right.
And their belief systems are parroting other systems which have gained in entropy, loss of information over time. And this loss of information over time has gotten to a point where many archaic systems have become ineffective.
Right.
So our ability to decode the systems that we use and to understand how our ancestors and why they built those systems, because once you do, then you're able to implement the core principles of the universe into the intentionality of your life, and it is creating those principles in the reality of our creative potential.
Absolutely.
And putting them into action, of course, that is
So how do we pull out the old baggage? How do we actually pull that out of our matrix, if you want to call it
Well,
that?
there's not so much old baggage that's relative, because we're kind of treasure hunting.
Okay.
And when you're treasure hunting and you're mining in the Akasha, you're looking for the gems to the timeline.
Right, let's talk about
So
that.
the gems of the timeline are the keys and codes which were seeded long ago to prepare for the future that would unfold now. And the future that's unfolding now is actually a new level of the universe that is emerging in the quantum matrix and is allowing us to shift our consciousness to a new experience.
So let's grab those gems. So I'm looking for them. Where are they? No, I mean, how do we grab
Well,
them?
they're stored in all of the Akashic caches around the earth, which our ancestors placed those keys and codes. So at the right point in time, we would reconnect the grid, and then that information would flow back into the public domain.
The power spots, the
Correct.
sacred sites,
Correct.
have those key grids. But we could do it. We're in a group here.
Indeed.
With the energetic vortex we can create right now.
Of course.
And everyone watching this display.
Indeed.
So how do we do that?
Well, that would require tuning our field and being able to achieve a level of coherency that would take us into an altered state of consciousness, which would allow us to translate information at a higher level, which is basically getting out of our own way, which we did a little bit when I started talking and taking us into a little bit of a different state of perception.
Yeah.
Though, in this moment, we're grounded in the perception of the self.
Right, but if we want to shift our conscious mind, let's do it.
Okay.
That's what we're here for.
Okay.
Why not? And everyone who's looking at this could do it.
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
we're ready. Spaceship Earth is ready, and we're
Okay.
here. We're ready to blast.
Well, probably the most simple thing that we could do is to share a new agreement for the Earth, and to create a new karmic contract that we could install into the planetary grid that could assist with the karmic litigation that is on hand, so we can move more effortlessly into the new paradigm.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. All right.
You want us all to breathe like that?
Well, I'll take a
I don't
moment
mind.
and I'm settling into the intention, because this is kind of like, pull a rabbit out of a hat in a quick moment, which
Yeah, well,
is-
you're a magician.
Indeed. Wizards Workshop studio, here we are.
Okay.
Okay. In just a moment, we're going to go into an energy field structure, and we're going to begin tuning ourselves. But before we can do that, we must be clear with our relationships. So right now, before we begin, let us all initiate the willingness to love ourselves for a moment. And right now, I would like for you to transmit the consciousness of I love you to all of the particle wave functions of our microcosmic truth, to all of the subtle aspects of the body which remain diligent in their function. Right now, tell your body and tell all of the microcosmic aspects of your body, I love you. Thank you. We are one, and so it is. And as we do, we begin reinstalling a positive feedback system. And now zoom out a little bit and give yourself permission to tell hydrogen within your body and all of the chemical elements of your body, I love you, I am you, and we are one. And right now, extend morale to your cellular system. And as that positive feedback circulates and comes full cycle to complete its circuit of intentionality, all of our protein chains electrify in the synergistic connectivity of the resonant field of our unified oneness. In just a moment, we're going to exhale, and when we do, we'll exhale the breath we're holding, and we'll go into the suspension of the breath, and then we'll reset and breathe together, and when we do, we're going to breathe through our hearts. We're going to breathe through the layering of our field structure, and we're going to breathe through the compression of our field. Though before we do that, our hearts must be clear, and our minds must be centered. So we elevate our intention to our solar plexus from the earth, and we honor the relation of our human family and all the generations past, present, and future. And we hold the intentions of our consciousness not just for ourselves, though for all concerned. And that is why this energy, this positive feedback, this consciousness transmission of divine intelligence is circulating, is flowing, and is reverberating through our body. And as we take a deep breath, allow our breath to begin to prepare itself for synchronization. Allowing ourselves to thaw out all of the frozen icebergs which have been blocking the channels of our highest expression, so that the passing of the ion of that celestial fire can ignite the pyro and piezoelectric capacity of our heart's field potentiality. In this potentiality we are moving into, because as brothers and sisters, we step deeper into our hearts, we step deeper into our minds, we step deeper into our knowing, to cultivate a new karmic contract for all concerned, and to bring the politic of the earth, which was swaying in the pendulum of duality, back to the fulcrum of peace from which it swung. And with the true objective relative to the divine code of love that writes the script of our highest reality, we will reinstate our divinity. We will reinstate the right usefulness of our inheritance, so that we can share the inspiration of the new world that is emerging, the new cities of light, the new Jerusalem which is birthing itself through all of the innovation of all of the souls that initiate passion to enter and to receive the next levels of creation. So as you breathe in your heart, acknowledge that you have stepped forward to receive the base code, which will carry the vibration of the new universe which is emerging in the quantum mechanic of the soul, which will allow us to shift into a greater simplicity of life. And through the correctness of our soul, our businesses can be healthy, our families can be holy once again, and our hearts can sail as we are invited into the next stage of evolutionary becoming. The way showers to move humanity into the Type 1 civilization format have been opened. And we receive the love, we receive the intelligence, we receive the due diligence of the steadfast perseverance, of the solidarity and forbearance of our highest intentions. And from the 0 point of our heart and through the matrix of our mind, we unlock the parameters of time, space, and energy. And we are free to reveal the company of heaven.
So who's working with you? What's coming through here?
Well, base of my knowing is that life is complex, and all of the levels and orders of evolutionary process are a universal collegiate system that is participating in different levels of learning. The vibration that I'm making right now is connected to the Emerald Order of Melchizedek, and I'm holding code for the transition of the Atlantean Codicy. So at the moment, I am holding space with Shambhala, Najare in the Galactic Council, and I am also sitting in allegiance with the Unified Allegiance of Light Consciousness, which is basically the group of intelligences which have come together to support the shift that we're having right now.
Right.
Not all of these groups have qualified according to the highest protocols. So the issue now is how do we get all of these systems to qualify? How do we get these governments to qualify for the new reality? How do we get these healing systems to qualify for the new paradigm?
And how do we do that?
The only way to do that is to restructure our position in the creation. And now, on a physical level, we are working with neuroscientists, physicists, and various individuals who have achieved fifth dimensional states of consciousness and are assisting in the reverse engineering of material sciences.
Right, and to understand the new neuropsychologies in the brain as we connect to a greater mindset, the neuron connections will awaken a new consciousness.
Correct.
Right. As far as you, what do you actually, I mean, you look like sort of regular person. What are you seeing? You're seeing something else that I get a sense of, like the other night, it was just like, boom, just things open.
Yes.
But I think you're seeing something else.
I have a holographic perception of the informational field that we're living in that is processing the karmic reality that we experience. So,
what does that mean?
It means that I am not limited to one point in time in order to perceive the wave function of what I'm looking at any given point of the creation. So it's more of a just a unified form of perception that's been developed through activating higher brain function.
So if you look at a person, you're seeing their physical body,
Correct.
And you're seeing something else. What else are you seeing?
It depends on how I focus the lens of the coherency of my understanding, because I can zoom all the way into 10 to the negative 37 and look at the vector that's holding your soul to the quantum matrix, or I can zoom all the way out and look at the threshold of the universal long wave function. So really, it's just I'm perceiving the grid of life and translating the systems within it, and my ability to do so was achieved by going outside of the time-space frame that which we live and I reprogrammed my consciousness in my lower part of my soul or my mentality, and I brought myself back with higher levels of understanding.
And you can also see collective grids, collectively. So
Correct.
we have a room full
There's
of
only
people.
one field. There's only one grid. And then once you understand how that field is attenuated by every level of frequency.
Wait, explain that. There's only one grid. Tell me what
There's
you
only
mean.
one grid. There's only one field. There's
Yeah.
only one force of dielectric inertia, magnetism, and electricity.
One complete field. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And
every aspect of that field is just focusing in a frequency range which we are attenuating with our consciousness. So I do work in the various frequency ranges of the system in order to understand how consciousness relates to matter.
right. And your mission, though, is to shift that field, right? To uplift it, to
Indeed.
increase the
Indeed.
vibration.
My
So-
primary mission is to help us build a language that'll put into context the communication necessary to build all of the new systems.
And the new systems look like what?
The new systems are amazing. The new systems look like miracles, look like magic.
Like such as
Instead of video games harming our children, they will be healing their brain. Instead of food shutting people down, it will be activating their soul. Instead of buildings draining your energy, they will be embedding higher consciousness. Because we are recreating the field and the structurally that we live in. And to do this, we must be in a higher level of coherency, which is focus, which is intelligence, which is consciousness.
So the divine matrix field is what we're recreating so people can lift that soul aspect up into that new field. I mean,
sort of,
that's
kind of,
what-
yes.
That's
Well,
what I get.
the divine matrix is a feed forward in intelligence, so that blueprint doesn't really change.
Right.
What changes is our capacity to dance with the fluctuations that it provides. So really what we're talking about is stabilizing the grid to receive higher intelligence.
Right.
Stabilizing the grid, because what's happening on the planet is we're in a state of magnetic declination. And as the magnetic field declines, the information which was trapped in the Akashic caches, which are stored in the sacred sites around the earth, begin to open up and release. This is why some of the elders and tribes still live on the same vertexes, because they have been waiting for the release of this.
And now is the time that this information is being released.
Now is the time that the information is being released to the engineers and architects of the new reality, and will very soon be available in formats for sociality to embrace and to express through liberal arts and changing all of the education systems of the planet.
But we have to reformat our
Everything.
energy fields if we're going to
Everything.
receive those new codes.
Correct, because we have to have a higher level of quantum coherency in the field. So what that means is we have to be in alignment with the creation.
Right, and the software updates that we're getting that have been in check until we could activate the human computer to get those new updates.
Correct. So when you talk about what's happening in the grid of the Earth, we're looking at an electrical engineering issue. Because as those information dumps happen in those vortexes, as the magnetic field gets thinner, because the magnetic field, when it was at its peak, was trapping the information in the grid points. So now it's unlocking and flooding.
But it was also trapping because it was programmed to trap by those beings that wanted it trapped.
Well, it was programmed. It's programmed into the time matrix, which is connected to how the genome, how the consciousness experiences the genome, which is a astrophysical programming template that we evolve consciousness systems through.
Each moment we're evolving it through those genomes in the relationship to the time-space flow.
Correct.
Right.
We are correcting more errors in real time in the universe than we are creating. This is the concept of negentropy and the sustainability of the divine plan, yes. And that is the concept of harmony and
As opposed
synergy.
to harm without the me, right?
Correct. Correct.
Right. I'm speaking his language.
Correct.
But yeah.
That's it. We're out of Webster's web. We're free to think and feel again. We're alive. We're breathing. Our hearts are open.
Great, I like that. I think I'll stay there. But but I think that's the key. You're activating the present conscious moment to the creative activity of the human vehicle to receive more downloads, to step into the flow of time-space.
In a general sense, yes. On a specific sense, we I am receiving specific intelligence that is being distributed with engineers and scientists, and we are actually building the infrastructure for the New Jerusalem on an engineering level, and we are prepping all of the relationships for the workflows that are building up.
I mean, an energetic engineering level, right?
Physically.
Physically. Talk about
Our team,
that.
our crew has been commissioned to facilitate doing this. So this is what we do behind the scenes of the public domain. On the front end of the scenes of the public domain, we're available for metaphysical learning systems, consciousness evolution.
Right.
Behind the scenes, we are working with industry heads, scientists, and different people to begin preparing to add the piece that we have come to share to help fulfill the piece which is unfolding. The thing now, though, is that we are in a little bit of a time dynamic, so the powers to be are not going to wait for everyone to just figure it out, over the gamut of the rest of existence. The information is going to be allocated now for us to know exactly what to do and how to do it to sustain future generations.
And it's coming through engineers like you.
It's coming through anyone who is qualified to be a builder in the new reality. And it is only through the crest of the consciousness, which is achieved through the higher wave functions of our emotional intelligence, that we do qualify for these positions.
Right. And that's what we need. We need the wave function of our emotional body to be cleansed so we can then...
Correct. And then we can share that wave function with other souls who want to do good for the earth, and they have the money or they have the resources, but their soul doesn't qualify because they have not signed up for their
So let's
destiny.
qualify them.
Indeed.
Like, how do we do that?
Well, they've been given the code of love in one format or another. Now, what we can do is we extend from the company of heaven our highest form of spiritual litigation, and we allocate the angelic intentionality necessary to litigate this karma.
And practically means what?
Means that if you're willing for your reality to change, and you're willing to take responsibility for a role in the new creation, you will be given exactly what you're required to fulfill your tasks, because there is no questionability when it comes to the alchemy of timelines.
And being given is when we connect to that part beyond that program into that inner knowing. We clear the emotional human drama that have consumed people's indulgences.
Correct. And we take a bit of the Buckminster Fuller approach, and we create a better reality. We create new cities. We create new communities. We create a new model. And then we create that model in the scalability of its highest potential. And then we extend that model freely through open source systems which provide educational resources for the development of new world systems.
Well, I think we're out of time for this episode.
Awesome.
But I think that leaves a lot of people to think about what their role is and who they are and how they want to generate the new creation. Thanks.